The Indiana Fever just had a hell of a week. Best week of their season, easily, and honestly, a lot longer than that, but for sure the best week of the season. Let's talk about it. 4-game winning streak, 6-1 since the break. Started with that game in Atlanta. Now, that was one that I wasn't worried about them winning, but it was important to bounce back after a loss to Minnesota. Didn't want to go into that Connecticut Sun game with the 2-game losing streak. So, big win by them. Atlanta was on a 3-game winning streak against some very good teams. And then Indiana Fever ended that. It was funny because I mentioned that I actually expected Dallas to come out from the break on that run. And as soon as I said that, they went on a 3-game winning streak while Atlanta went on a 3-game losing streak started by the Fever. So playing against the Wings and the Atlanta Dream, those were two teams on 3-game winning streaks, and they had beat some really good teams like the Lynx and the Aces in those streaks. So despite their records, those were tough games. And in between those two games, a huge game against the Connecticut Sun. I absolutely did not want to get swept by the Connecticut Sun. Came close to beating them a couple times. Obviously, there's some rivalry there with Dejanay. She can't seem to play a game against the Fever and just let it go. There has to be some kind of comments made. Couldn't really say anything about Caitlin at this point in the season, so she took aim at Caitlin's fans after the game. Said that Caitlin had the nastiest fans. Ew. Right. Because once you run out of things to say about Caitlin, you figured it would be safe to talk about her fans. Short-sighted move, in my opinion, but I'll get back to that. Big win by them, lots of poise shown. It wasn't just the wins and who they beat, but also how they won these games. Jumped out to a lead against Atlanta, then held on. A nice back and forth against Phoenix. Outcoached them, actually, on a few levels. The game against the Chicago Sky, went in there and dominated against a lesser team, missing one of their better players, did not play around. They didn't have Kennedy Carter. They didn't have a chance. And the Indiana Fever never gave them one. On Barbie Night, Caitlin Clark signing pink Barbie shirts after the game. Caitlin Clark breaking out some Kobe PEs that took the shine away from the new shoes that Angel Reese debuted from Reebok. Caitlin Clark hamming it up with the crowd. The swagger has been on display lately. I love it. I love it. You got people like Skylar Diggins. You want to get salty. You got people like Diamond DeShields. Cost herself a bunch of fans and cost the Chicago Sky some fans. Definitely lost some of the younger fans when Diamond DeShields decided to body check her. You could just see it on their faces, like people in Chicago Sky clothes, merchandise, I should say, on the sidelines are shaking their heads like, nah, this ain't right. This woman's been entertaining us all night, and this is what you do? They didn't like it. I saw it. This game against Dallas, let me tell you, rock fight, pure out rock fight. Enrique came in on fire, but still, Kelsey Mitchell matched her shot for shot and outdueled her. Enrique had a career high in threes, and Kelsey Mitchell outdueled her. Satu Sabli. Can y'all see now why when I did my free agency list, it really was Satu and that was it? Not only her game, but her comments after the game. You can see a stark difference in the way she carried herself, in the way Nancy Lieberman, in calling that Dallas Wings game, handled the situation, and some of the words that she had for Caitlin Clark in comparison to, just some of the other people out here in media. Stark difference. Won a lot of fans. And so Dallas, they gained themselves lots of fans this week. Not only because the class that they showed after the game, after a hard fought game, and some of the comments that Satu made, to her fans and also about Caitlin, but the way that the game was played, this was one of the best and most entertaining games of the WNBA season so far. Hands down. So kudos to them. Stark difference in what we saw from Dallas and what we saw from Chicago and from Dejanay. I wonder if the rest of the Sun would wish that she would just be quiet so that their franchise could kind of benefit from maybe not being on the wrong side of this wave. Diamond DeShields, really the whole Chicago Sky organization, besides Camilla, Lindsay Allen maybe, they're not doing themselves any favors by the way that they show up every time they play against the Indiana Fever. And it's never just, a good game to be played. It's always extra stuff. But that's neither here nor there. Those were the 4 games. They took them down. Next game is against LA. They should win that one. Rakia Jackson, one of my favorites here on this channel. You guys know that. I've been trying to swing a trade for Rakia. Absolutely one of my favorite players in the league. I hope she has a nice game. Not nice enough to get the win. They haven't gotten many, but they have looked better these last couple of games. So they have to stay sharp. But I'm pretty sure Indiana will get it done tonight on their floor. more so looking ahead. I hate to look past any team, and obviously I'm not going to look past one of the games that has my two favorite players out there, but I'm looking forward to this game against the Lynx. We have to go ahead and get this one. When I called the game last time we played Minnesota and said that Minnesota would win that one at home, I also said that the Fever would win this one at home. So I'm hoping they make true on that. Definitely get this win, and then a split against the Aces. The Aces haven't even been playing well. I would love to see if we beat the Aces in back-to-back games and Caitlin Clark has really nice games, does that change the MVP conversation at all? I mean, I know it's just Asia's unanimously at this point, but can we get a couple of first place votes for Caitlin? With two great back-to-back games against the Aces, we'll see. What I'm really more concerned with is we haven't heard anything about Lexi Hull, sixth player of the year. Now, earlier, I pretty much had that wrapped up and shipped to Kennedy Carter, but lately I haven't been seeing it. Lots of scratches, not much impact when she has been out there. I know she hasn't been feeling great. That's the story, but doesn't matter. Lexi Hull, in my opinion, has really risen up that ladder. And honestly, we should be talking more about Lexi Hull as sixth woman of the year. I want to see that happening. I haven't really heard anything from that. I've heard the Pay Kelsey campaign taking off, but she did that on her own. She made sure they was gonna pay Kelsey. We didn't have to get we didn't have to get too heavy into that one. Kelsey got herself paid. We need to get this Lexi Hull Six Woman of the Year campaign off the ground now. All right. We're all in on that one. All right, and Alyssa Smith, she's bought out these last couple of games. Didn't really appear in that fourth quarter. It was kind of mysterious for a lot of people the way she played against Dallas, and then just didn't see her anymore for the rest of the game. I was looking at some stats while the game was going on. Dantes did have a higher plus minus. She does add a little bit more spacing, but Alyssa Smith was knocking down her shots from outside. So not really sure why that move was made. I mean, it paid off in the win, so I'm not gonna dig too deep into it. But after two great games, Alyssa Smith, because listen, let's just go ahead and put it out there. Angel Reese clearly outplayed her last time they played. Was talking to her about it, had the numbers, was all in her head. And Alyssa Smith responded. That was huge. And then to back that up with a great game against Dallas, kudos to her. Hats off to her. She's still showing up and balling, even though, everybody else is getting the headlines right now. So kudos to Alyssa Smith. Not sure why she didn't play in the fourth, but it is what it is. Dantes adds a little something to the offense. Even when she doesn't have the ball, it seemed as if the offense was kind of doing better as a whole, even though her numbers weren't matching up with Alyssa's, but that's just what I saw. Aaliyah Boston, she continues to impress with her do everything Swiss Army knife stat lines. Caitlin Clark dropping a lot of full court passes and bounce passes towards the rim for layups, while Aaliyah Boston is spraying these passes out to the three-point shooters at a rapid rate, wide open three-point shooters because of the attention that she draws. And I just think that's a great combination. While Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark are like the scoring combination right now, you have Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston as the playmaking combination, and it's just working great. Like Timmy Fagbenley, even in games, those first couple of games, she was smoking layups, and she had some hilarious stories on her Instagram about it. Took full accountability for it. But even in those games, she was leading the team in plus minus multiple games, plus 18, plus 21. I think she was plus 18 in like a 5-point game or something like that. So her effect on the game cannot be overstated. Great to have her back. I was looking forward to it for months. It felt like 3 months, but for at least 2 months, we finally got her back. Thank God. Looking good out there. The Erica Willard minutes have even been decent because they've come mostly with two of the big three on the floor, something we talked about in the previous video down in the comments. We didn't see that often. A lot of times we saw Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston on the bench while Willard was in. Haven't seen that much during this winning streak. It's always been two of the big three on the floor. Matter of fact, against Connecticut, they played 38 minutes each. In my opinion, that's what got them to win. Not enough minutes from Mabry, who was their best three-point shooter by far. Horrible three-point shooting from the rest of the Connecticut Sun. And we played our shooters longer than they played theirs. Something that Chrissy Sides wasn't doing earlier this season. She was letting Jewel Lloyd and Kalea Copper go in there and play 38 minutes while, we saw Caitlin and Kelsey maybe play 32, 33. And that ended in some losses for them. Kelsey Mitchell, in my opinion, should have been player of the week. this week. But I know that those 12 assists that Caitlin put up in back-to-back games took her over the top, and I can't be upset at that, obviously. I love CC, so I'm not going to be upset at anything that she wins. But I did think that Kelsey was player of the week. For sure the best shooting guard in the league for back-to-back weeks. And if you're the best shooting guard in the league for 2 weeks, how many weeks does it have to happen before you're just the best shooting guard in the league? I think at this point, she has a rightful claim to that title. Probably would have gone with Enrique before last game, even though I know she's a more of a volume inefficient shooter, but definitely going with Kelsey Mitchell after she outdueled Enrique. She did it on the floor. We can't debate it outside the floor. Overall, just really impressed by the entire lineup, coach included, Coach Christy Sides included. Like, and I was telling you guys this earlier in the season. When you look around at some of the other coaches in the league, it starts to make you appreciate Christy a little bit more. Like, not the best soundbite, but at least she doesn't sit there frowned up with negative energy like Teresa Witherspoon does after a loss. I would hate that if I was like a Sky fan. I wouldn't want to see that. Sitting there just scowling, looking crazy. Some of you, have you seen some of the nonsense going on in Chicago Sky post game press conferences? Listen, give me Christy Sides and her bad sound bites all day. I'll take it. Fuck it. And she's gotten better at the sound bites. She's gotten a lot better. Entire organization honestly has stepped up from the social media team. Anything that I could have had a criticism about, the way that they were filming the post game press conferences, the way that the social media team seemed outdated and not with it. It's like, yo, go hire the person from Wendy's or something. What are you doing? But now they're up to date. They're moving like a modern franchise, in my opinion. Glad to see it happen. Glad to see it happening. Either way, I'm predicting another win tonight, 5 in a row. The only game on the WNBA schedule, the Sparks versus the Fever tonight. Like I said earlier, I'm hoping for a nice game from Rakia. Maybe De'Erica does some good things. But I'm hoping that the Indiana Fever go ahead and take care of business. Maybe even get the starters some rest in that fourth again and get ready for a big game, a really big game against the Minnesota Lynx. Right now, Minnesota and Connecticut are in a battle for second and third, trying desperately not to be the team that has to go against Indiana in that first round. So they're going to be bringing their A game. All right. And we definitely need to be bringing ours too. I'll wrap this up here, you guys. I could sit here and talk to you about the Fever all day, but another game tonight. I'll be back with another video or live stream. So until then, hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Peace.